Hello, welcome to the Snap UK. We're here at the home of Michael. Well, business home of Michael.
It's practically my home. At the lab.
At the lab.
How many hours he spends here.
I like it when we call it we're at the lab. Makes it sound much more cool.
It does. It's not cool. It's not cool, but we try.
Yeah.
We try.
Being summer, there's, it's slim pickings. I mean, it's still more than we had last week, which was just being Jim.
It's a 50% upgrade.
It is, yeah. And it is an upgrade because we've got Michael.
Thanks very much. That's a very kind thing to say.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Let's wait and see how much research I've done for this podcast.
Oh, you've done the same as me.
We've been watching you do the research.
I'm sat here still doing my research. It's fine. I know my general points and gripes. We're good.
Exactly. So this is the AFC preview. So we're going to go through all the AFC teams and say what we think about them for this coming season.
Trending up, trending down. Who's going to do what?
Exactly.
Weaknesses.
Strengths.
Mainly weaknesses when it gets to me.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
These are some of my favourite podcasts.
Oh, this is always great. So,
Before you go into this, though, I have an interesting thing to pick up on from the last time I was podcasting with you guys and Gary.
Okay.
I believe Paul might have been there. It might have been the last full house we had. And I got picked on for not liking rookie quarterbacks. So I went and listened to some of our old podcasts, and it turns out that's not quite true. This leads me on to the conversation I was having with Jim the other night. Now, back in, and then you can tell me which year it was because I can't remember, when Josh Allen... 2018. When they were drafted, I said, Josh Allen's going to be the best, Lamar Jackson's going to be the next best, then Sam Darnold, got that wrong, then Baker, and Josh Rosen isn't necessarily ready.
Okay.
Right? So you can swap Darnold and Baker around, but for the most part, I got that right. And that class interested me because I thought, for the most part, those players could play. Rosen didn't ever look ready because he'd had it too easy. Now, beyond that, the classes have been very...
Meh.
Yeah, stagnant.
Yeah.
And so it's not that I don't like rookie quarterbacks. It's just I don't really think we've got many that have been introduced properly into the league. And the point I was getting across to Jim the other day is Trey Lance. He's looked awful for large chunks of preseason, but somewhere in there is miniature Lamar Jackson or miniature Jalen Hurts. When he takes off to run and doesn't try and play hero ball, he's incredible. And I think something needs to be done in the league to make general managers realise that they are ruining people's potential because they're picking them and just hoping it works out.
But this comes back to, again, the discussion we were having is that obviously you pick players from the draft mainly based on potential talent which you think is there, shall we say. And I think, especially when it comes to Trey Lance, and you could, loads of quarterbacks, loads of players that all fit under this, is that they don't play enough in college.
Yeah.
Trey Lance had what?
11
games?
11 starts.
Yeah, 11 starts. And that was interrupted by the COVID year where he didn't play, and then the next year he goes on and gets drafted. You've only got to look at the other side of the 49ers here where they drafted Brock Purdy. Mm-hmm. 4 years playing in Iowa. A starter all that time, building up that level of experience, actually just playing the game at a high level, and then ready to make that step up into the NFL. And it's done very well. And there's loads of examples of that where they're just not. They just haven't got the experience. They've got maybe 1 or 2 years, and it comes back to Bill Parcells always used to say, the only way I'm drafting a quarterback is if he's had 3 years starting. He's got a completion percentage over, I think, 65%, and he's a winner.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of GMs could do well to go back and look at that. And I think one of the things to consider, and we'll see how it plays out this season, is one of Parcells' proteges, Sean Payton. He's picked Bo Nix. Bo Nix has got a ton of experience, and
he's a 4-year starter.
Yeah, seemingly. He's going to be the number one quarterback against a quarterback room who, Zach, what's his face?
Zach Wilson and
Jarrett Stidham aren't exactly the best competition, but they've got more experience than he has.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think going back to those Bill Parcells tenants, I think a lot of GMs could benefit from that. And Trey Lance should never have been picked in that year. He should never have even gone into the draft. Really.
Do you think there should be a minimum experience level required? So it used to be with the NBA, you couldn't make yourself available till you were 21.
Yep.
And then that changed. It used to be with the NFL that you had to have.
You've got a 3 years gap between. I think it's 3 years between high school. Yeah.
But do you think there should be a guaranteed number of starts then? So you've got to have started 18 games in college, or you've got to have played in 25 games, even if you've not started them. How do you address that issue? Because it's getting worse. We get far more first-round busts now than we ever used to.
Yeah.
It's now 50% of quarterbacks in the first round of busts.
But I don't think it's something you can mandate.
No.
But I think, if GMs start paying attention to those tenants and that starts to just trickle down into the college game, you're going to find that quarterbacks will naturally stay in. Because otherwise they'll drop down to the 3rd, 4th, 5th round.
Right.
And they won't get paid as much money.
Yeah, so is it about money? Well, if GMs were in a position to pay rookie quarterbacks less, but they could have them on a longer contract, would that help?
I don't know, but I don't think the money thing matters as much now that you've got the image rights in the college game.
I say is the change of the NIL and all this stuff in the college game, meaning the players aren't going to necessarily be in such a rush.
Yeah,
because if they're stars,
they'll earn more money in college.
They'll earn as much money in college, and Lance is a strange one, isn't it? Because he came in
he is, from a compensation point of view, one of the biggest busts in the last 30 years. Yeah. It's massive.
Yeah.
Was it first, second, and third round draft picks?
No. It was 3 first round.
3 first picks.
Yeah, 3 first round picks.
That's nuts when you think about
it,
because it was a massive gamble.
And you think about it, had Brock Purdy not come along, the 49ers would be paying for that.
And that's the difference.
Yeah.
You just don't know. This is why I referenced, before we started, RG3 and Kirk Cousins, because there's other situations that might be similar, but they went all in on RG3, and it turned out the best quarterback on the roster was picked in the 4th or 5th round that year. And he's now, we're now 12 years on from that, and whether you like it or not, he's a star, unquote, quarterback in the league. So I think there's a lot of gambling involved from the GMs, and it's doing the players no justice at all. Because Trey Lance should never... If he'd have got a seat like Jordan Love and sat behind Jimmy G for 3 years and never played,
maybe,
where would he be now? Yeah. I can't believe he'd be worse off.
Yeah. So that draft is a particularly egregious thing. Because
of course.
You've got that, but you've also got McCorkle and Justin Fields. Both of them are now backups.
Yeah.
Different teams.
Yeah.
Both of those were pushed into positions that, because of poor management from their management.
You look at it, it's only Trevor Lawrence who's still a starting quarterback out of that first round class.
And there's still doubts on him because when he joined, admittedly, he had the worst coach in the world, and he's just... There was so much expected of him. It's going to be hard for him to meet.
Yeah.
He's not a bust or anything like that.
No, but it's hard to match those expectations.
But yeah, the first round quarterbacks that have been a success since 2018, Josh Allen, Lamar,
Baker.
Joe Burrow, Baker.
Baker has been a success. Let's not, just because he's not on the Browns anymore.
Got to the playoffs.
He got the Browns into the playoffs, and then he got the Bucks into the playoffs. And he's just inconsistent.
Yeah.
He has amazing stretches and terrible stretches. But yeah. So
yeah, Burrow,
Herbert. See, that they were good. You've never heard me say anything bad about them other than Herbert can't win.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, in all fairness, I took it a bit like, am I not researching this properly? Am I just slagging them off? And I don't think I am. I think it's just that it's very meh. And there's not a lot to like about the recent draft classes.
So I pulled up a list of first round quarterbacks since 2015.
Okay.
So James Winston, 2015 starting year. James Winston and Marcus Mariota, 2015.
Yeah, okay, so quickly then. So Jameis Winston, not a bust. He's just not a star.
Oh,
Marcus Mariota, not a bust.
solid backup. But when you look at their first and second overall
Yeah,
pick,
absolutely.
Anyway, 2016, Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, and Paxton Lynch.
Paxton Lynch is one of the most under-talked about busts of all. What a reach that was.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a reach with Jeremy Beadle's hand. That was
I think
terrible.
it's because the Broncos just can't do right for doing wrong.
Yeah,
Like that
exactly.
they are that everything they do.
But the other two, and you can say what you like about Carson Wentz, but he was successful for a large period. So-
I mean, he got the Eagles into that playoffs, and then Nick Foles finished it off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
27
She was on MVP pace.
Yeah,
before he went.
yeah, exactly. 2017, Trubisky, Mahomes, Watson.
So you've got two that are good quarterbacks. Watson is falling off, but you've got two. And then you've got Trubisky, who's good enough to be in the league, but not good enough to start.
And you got 2018, Baker, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, Lamar, we talked about. 2019, Kyler Murray, Daniel Jones, Dwayne Haskins.
I mean, you've got two there that, well, one sadly is passed on. Daniel Jones is going to become a career backup, I believe. And then you've got Kyler, who, of all the rookies, I really didn't like.
No.
I've never seen...
I've never liked him, but he is a starting quarterback.
And he does win.
And he does win, so give him
sure.
that. You know, I think, you mentioned Dwayne Haskins. Yes, he's passed away. It's terribly sad, but he was on his way out of the game. As well.
He was good, another one who would be career backup.
Then I think you could probably got one of the best classes, 2020, Joe Burrow, Tua, Justin Herbert, and Jordan Love.
Yeah.
Tua was the one I was missing. I knew there was one I was missing.
I forgot about
See, that's a good year. But again, if you go and look, the only one out of that lot that I didn't like was Tua. Because I said I wasn't sold on the fact he was going to... on the durability. But other than that was a hit class.
Yeah.
So, you know.
2021, we've talked about. That's the Lawrence Wilson, Lance Fields, Jones. 2022, just Kenny Pickett.
No, he can't. And that was a terrible year.
It was a bad year. I mean, that was the year, though, that Brock Purdy came out.
Yeah. But that's Ridder, Willis, later on.
All those later on.
Third and
And
fourth
none of them
rounds.
made the first round, apart from Pickett.
Bad
And
year.
even that was not controversial, but it was like, yeah. And then lastly, 2023 is Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and Anthony Richardson. I mean, it's still early to tell, but they're all still starting quarterbacks.
CJ Stroud, we think, already looks good. He looks like he belongs.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't recall what his playing time was in college.
No,
I don't
I think he
remember.
had a good
I'd have to look it up.
couple of seasons.
Anthony Richardson, we didn't get to see enough of.
No.
I think he's going to be a problem to himself because I think he's often going to get injured. He's brittle Cam Newton.
Yeah.
And as for Bryce Young, no one was succeeding in that. He gets a pass on last year for me.
CJ Stroud only started 2 seasons, 25 games.
But 25 games.
Yeah.
Like, that's more than twice what Lance had done. But this is the thing. Like I say, Bryce Young. How do you judge anything on that Panthers team from last year?
That's Trevor Lawrence and that Jaguars team
of course
level
it is.
of.
I still think he could be good enough.
I'm predicting he's going to have a decent year.
Well, I'm not sure about that, but sure.
I don't think the Panthers are going to have a good year, but I think Bryce Young will be fine.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But sorry for derailing where you were going. I know that's taken up a few minutes.
Good chat.
That's fine.
It was something that Jim and I were discussing the other night, and I just
But much like Gary's mattress, it's not going to be forgotten.
Yeah.
no.
It's every
You
time
are
there's
still going to be the guy.
every
that
time a
hates-
rookie quarterback is
Sure.
get mentioned, it's going to turn to you.
Yeah.
But you think he's shit.
Yeah, I mean,
Just like
that's fair.
Gary sleeps on a £17,000 mattress.
Do you remember the ones I was most wrong about though?
No.
So I was wrong about Mac Jones. I was really happy when we got Mac Jones. I thought this guy was ready, and that was wrong.
Well, first year, he looked fine.
First year, he looked great, to be fair.
Like,
He's fallen
First year.
off.
First
Or
year, he was
Pro Bowl.
probably he was probably top
He
of
was
that class.
he was a Pro Bowl alternative, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And then there was Kenny Pickett. I thought Kenny Pickett going to the Steelers would be.
Hands were too small.
I thought he would thrive in that environment, and it has not happened.
yeah. Is
So-
he still in the league?
He's a backup now.
Somewhere.
Yeah,
Did he go to the Eagles?
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
And so again, he may get another shot, but he's sort of Mitch Trubisky level,
Oh, yeah,
if that.
Oh, he's not
I
bad.
actually thought Trubisky outplayed him.
Trubisky was better. Trubisky got to the playoffs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Admittedly, for a much better.
But even
team, but-
at the Steelers, Trubisky played better.
Yeah.
And so he's been sort of unfortunate for me, Trubisky. He's not as bad as his career
He
numbers
got
show.
bad.
He got bad. And
That's
and,
fair, yeah.
And why is I mean, we're going to get to the Bears, but why is everyone not considering that for this year? I know the guy is talented that they've picked, but You
Why are
know,
we not considering what?
that there may be another situation here of Bears quarterback.
Williams gets spared.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think he will. I think they've actually done a better job of putting weapons around him this time and a decent offensive line.
Maybe, but we always come back to it's the
Bears.
It's the Bears. It's the team. It's the same reason I'm not going to be picking the Jets to win very much today. Anyway,
AFC,
carry on.
So, we're going to do slightly out of order, or the usual order.
Is this because I haven't finished?
We're going to let Griff finish.
Yep. Finish myself
prep.
off.
So, I've started with the North.
You're pulling double duty here as well.
I am, because Paul isn't here and Gary's not here. I'm doing North and West. I'm also doing a fantasy draft tonight.
Are you?
Yeah.
In 40 minutes time.
In 40 minutes time. So I'll be doing that. If I get distracted,
Where are you picking?
I don't know.
Oh,
it's
random.
Literally, some random guy on Twitter, formerly Twitter, now X. I believe that's what they say. Was like, oh, when you don't want to join a fantasy league? So I was like, yeah. So I don't know what position I will be, but I don't even know anyone. The only bloke I know is the guy who runs it. But yeah, we will see. But yeah, if I get distracted, it's because I'm now on the clock.
We are going to ask for updates.
Oh, of course, yeah. So, North, I'm going to start with the Baltimore Ravens because B. Also, they are overwhelmingly favourites for this. They are really high in the Super Bowl betting. And the reason is they're a really well-run team.
Yeah.
Like, last year they signed Lamar to this deal. They've moved on some players this season, which I think that makes, there are some weaknesses, but they've kept Roquan Smith. Like, they've added Derrick Henry to a running back room, which is just fucking bad. It just was so perfect.
How good will Henry be if he doesn't have to carry the ball every down?
If he doesn't have to do 40 carries a game, like that is like, as well, you can nurse him almost through, and then suddenly in the playoffs, you can then unleash him. That would be brilliant, because that is effective. There isn't a huge amount of change here. Like, Patrick Queen's gone, Jadeveon Clowney. Patrick Queen was brilliant, but he was brilliant once Roquan Smith joined. That's the thing that worries me for Patrick Queen moving on, is that he doesn't have Roquan Smith playing alongside him anymore. Clowney was their leading sack producer last year, which is unfortunate. So he's gone to Titans.
Do we like the phrase sack producer?
I can't think of another word.
Sack master? Do you want to be the sack master?
Isn't that worse?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
Clowney was their sack lord, and
Lord of all sacks.
and like as well, he's only like 31.
Like he's got them nailed on the wall at
Yeah.
home. Like some sort of weird
Like
serial killer.
a reverse scalping. But yeah, so on defense, they have drafted players to replace them. Adele's gone. I don't think that's a bad thing.
It's a good thing.
He didn't produce really, and his entourage, well, his dad is a dickhead.
Oh, don't hold back, mate.
Well, he is. He's fucking. He's basically had his son leave Cleveland under a cloud, and now leave Ravens under a cloud. Like, I don't how he's going to get on with Tua. Let's see if he ever fucking turns up. The receivers.
That's my biggest
Flatter
worry.
to deceive here.
I like Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers, I do like. Rashad Bateman he's not a consistent receiver, but he's fine. Nelson Aguilar.
Still going.
He's still going, still running very fast down the pitch. Mark Andrews is, of course, going to be the leading receiver, effectively. And, as I likely steps in when Andrews gets injured.
They got 2 good tight ends.
Yeah.
1 good receiver and Derek Henry.
Yeah.
And a good offensive line as well.
And Keaton Mitchell, when he's back from injury, he's shown promise at times. So,
and not to be, underestimated, Patrick Ricard, the fullback.
Yeah.
I mean, bear in mind, Carl Juszczyk came from Baltimore as well. Baltimore know how to use a fullback.
Yeah. But yeah, the line's still good. If I was a betting man, I would predict another playoff appearance where they flatter to deceive.
Well, I've got them finishing top of the AFC North.
Do you know what? I will get into this. So, next, Cleveland.
Are you doing it in order or not?
I'm doing it in...
He's doing it in the order they believe they'll finish in.
No, I'm not.
Are you not?
No, I'm not.
Oh.
I was going to say.
So, B, to CL, Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
The biggest question here is, of course, the quarterback.
Except CI comes before CL.
Does it?
Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, you're right. Well, whatever.
We're doing the Cleveland Browns. Go on, Browns.
Yeah, so we'll do the Browns. Fuck it. Yeah, I forgot about Cincinnati. So, Watson... I still don't know what to make of Watson. He was really shit last year. He had a good game and then cried off.
Distinctly mediocre and not fit.
When he's replaced in week 5 by Jameis Winston, they will be a better team.
So, yeah, they've got Amari Cooper in his last year. They've brought in Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore. Yeah, fine. The thing is, they will be a better team once Nick Chubb is back. He's not back until week 5. Mm-hmm. Jerome Ford did all right in his absence. David Njoku was fucking brilliant last year.
Finished the season really strongly. Really
great. He had a great connection with Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco's gone. So, yeah, Winston is in to provide the vibes.
The team played better under Flacco last year, right?
Yeah,
and who throws the ball as hard as Joe Flacco?
Jameis
Winston. It's going to happen. We're going to see the Jameis revival like we saw the Flacco revival. It's going to be incredible.
So you look at the players they've lost.
Can you read any? Sorry, just to interrupt you. Can you read anything to your point into the fact that they're carrying 4 quarterbacks?
Yeah,
because I don't think they have faith in Watson being able to do anything. They kept Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Katarina Thompson, or whatever his name is.
Yeah. So Watson, Winston, Huntley, and Thompson-Robinson.
Yeah.
And a key factor in the Cleveland season may be that the O-line coach has gone. He's gone to join his son over at Tennessee. The O-line was well drilled. Good players. Jedrick Wills, obviously. There's some, Bitonio, Conklin. There's some good players there. But the defense last year statistically was really, really good. But also, they had games where they get absolutely pulverized. Basically, there's a really good team, I think, in Cleveland, but I have no confidence at all that they'll be able to unlock it.
If they don't win a playoff game, is Kevin Stefanski gone?
Yes, gone.
One playoff game saves him?
I think a playoff game saves him.
Probably,
I do as well. Okay, that's fine. That was my question on the Browns.
But yeah, if you have, for fantasy, probably pick up the defense because they're going to get lots of sacks, probably get lots of interceptions, but they'll probably all don't be too upset if they get dicked on a few times because that's what happens.
Yeah.
So
I had a question for the Ravens as well. I have a question for every team.
Go on.
For the Ravens, and this is an inane question, but it's true to a point. Is it just a case of they need to get a bit luckier? Like they had the most injuries last year, especially at running back, and
they
on their offense.
It's gone about 3 seasons where they've just had injury after injury after injury.
Because you look at their squad every year and you go, the wide receivers are a bit but otherwise this is a team that should win. And it never quite comes off.
There's a bit of luck about it, but when it got to the playoffs, they completely played the wrong game.
Yep.
And so sometimes, it's both luck and game state. Sometimes that they just get it wrong, and unfortunately they get it wrong when it's really important. Because that's when, not just last year where they sort of whimpered out the playoffs, like the year before. Like,
it's been a few years.
They were so close to beating the Bengals, but couldn't. And they are just. I don't think it's going to be I know the betting has them, I think, in the top 4. But yeah, so I'm trying to think, make a way to make it alphabetical. The Cincinnati, but with a Y. Cincinnati.
We're a high intelligence podcast.
Yeah.
You're supposed to the Latin way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, I think, is Joe Burrow fit? If the answer is yes, the Bengals, are Super Bowl contenders. He's coming in this season fit. He didn't last year. He couldn't walk. He couldn't move for 4 weeks. And then he finally became mobile again, and then got injured. So, and they did all right. I mean, what last season proved was actually that the head coach, Zach Taylor, isn't a fucking idiot.
He got Jake Browning.
Yeah.
Jake Browning to perform competitively. They won more games than they lost without Burrow.
Yeah.
Right? And it proved that the foundation of the team is good. The head coach does know what he's doing. If the star player remains fit, they must be considered a big Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
But it's a massive if.
It is a big if, but so Jamar Chase is back in the building. T. Higgins is there. He's got he's there for the next year. He'll be gone. But Jamar Chase is brilliant. We have seen the loss of Mixon.
Joe Mixon. Now, so this is my question about the Bengals.
Running game looks terrible.
You're relying on Zach Moss. Now, I've enjoyed some Zach Moss time, especially in fantasy. But is he the man you want for 17 games?
But it won't be just him. It will be committee.
Yeah, I get it.
But yeah,
you've got Chase Brown and Chris Evans. Not that Chris Evans.
Yes,
because that Chris Evans would be rubbish. But it's not. There's nothing stellar about that running back room.
When was the last time anyone took Chase Brown in fantasy?
Exactly. And so if Burrow does struggle with injury or otherwise, where is the relief for him in this offense? Because we'll get when we get to the Bills, but it's a bit like Josh Allen. It's Burrow or bust.
Well, at least with Josh Allen, he can run the ball himself.
True.
And I think I wouldn't.
Did you enjoy that stat I sent you earlier?
Oh yeah, it's a good one. More Josh Allen, more touchdowns than Christian McCaffrey.
More rush at the same number, but in fewer games.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Joe Burrow, I'd worry about running the ball because A, he's not the player that Josh Allen is, and B, he's made out of China. I think for him to be safe as a fitness-wise, not being absolutely destroyed every single play, we need to see a lot from Mike Gesicki, the tight end. Because he still needs that outlet where he can just, if Jamar Chase is double coverage, which is very much likely to be, T. Higgins is going to be there or thereabouts, but where's the next option? Because I don't think, and I can't even pronounce the third wide receiver, Andre Servias, right? He's a rookie. You can't really rely on him. So is Mike Gesicki going to be?
Is it not going to be Jermaine Burton?
Could be Trenton Owen.
The Andre. He ended last season all right. So he started making catches. So I haven't got depth charts.
The thing with Gesicki is that he spent the last 2 years in a terrible offense, being underutilized.
Yep.
And we don't know if he's still the same player you saw in Miami. If he is, then I think it's an upgrade.
He looked good before he went to New England.
To the graveyard that is New England.
And he now has Joe Burrow, who in the Super Bowl run, it was in the playoffs. It was his connection to the tight end that made the difference. I can't remember the tight end's name, but additionally, they've got some safety help this year because you could quite easily throw over the
Geno
Bengals. Geno Stone, great pickup. Von Bell's back, a bit older, but it gives some help in the secondary, which had been too easy, quite frankly. So I'm going to say I predict them to come top of this division.
Okay.
Let me have a little look and see what I wrote down. But I believe I also picked them. I did indeed pick the Bengals over the Ravens if everyone stays healthy.
I went Ravens over Bengals.
I think that's going to be the consensus.
I think both will make the playoffs.
I think both make the playoffs.
They should.
I think the other two teams are the trajectory is downward.
Yep.
So Steelers, they've announced Russell Wilson is going to be the starting quarterback. No surprises really. They have George Pickens as wide receiver, who makes some very nice big plays. He's not been a consistent wide receiver.
Look who he was playing with, though.
I know. So this is his chance to become that leading receiver. They lost Deontay Johnson, who has gone to Panthers. He was on a big wage, which I'm sure they'll probably just want to give to defenders. The thing that worries me is this is an Arthur Smith run offense now, who is a clown. So they've brought in more help on the offensive line. So Troy Fatanu is their first round pick. They also picked I think 3 players, offensive line players in the draft. Picked a centre and a guard. They have Pat Frymouth, who is a decent tight end. Darnell Washington never really did much last year. It was a sort of a rookie tight end. Maybe we can get some more from him. Although Arthur Smith's record with tight ends does not make me confident with that.
Russell Wilson's record with tight ends isn't brilliant either.
No. So I think a lot's going to be on Najee Harris, Cordell Patterson, and Jalen Warren. Jalen Warren is coming into the season with a hamstring injury. Najee Harris had a great debut season. Then it's been a bit. He's not helped by a line that.
He had 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns last year.
Yeah.
I believe he's underrated.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I think the O-line doesn't always help.
No.
But I think he's underrated. If you get good Russell Wilson, this team will be competitive. If you get bad Russell Wilson, it won't. Now, Russell Wilson wasn't terrible last year.
No.
The team were terrible. He actually did absolutely fine. He had like 26 touchdowns or something.
26 and 8 interceptions.
That is a great year for most quarterbacks. It's also 13 years since he won a Super Bowl or something stupid, like 12 years since he won a Super Bowl. What are you expecting to get? This is the question for the Steelers. Are you genuinely expecting 2 good years of Russell Wilson to lead you back into the playoffs, or are you hoping that he teaches Justin Fields and Justin Fields is your quarterback for 2 or 3 years? What are they really after?
That I don't know because
I believe in Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin's a very clever man, but I'm not quite sure what the aim is.
No, this is the first year I've gone into the season and I'm absolutely befuddled by the Steelers. Normally, once again, they've got some great players in defense still, like Hayward, Watt. They've added Highsmith. They've added Patrick Queen, who, if he's playing like he did at the end of his Ravens stint, great. Minkah Fitzpatrick is a stats. He makes big plays. There's great players there, but On the offensive side of the ball, I'm so befuddled by them.
Is this the best division in the AFC?
I think it's the best division
in terms of week-to-week competitiveness?
Depends what you mean by best.
Is it
week
the
to
one
week competitive? I think
week to week competitive, the one that could be closest? Like, if all 4 teams from a division could qualify for the playoffs, would this be the one that had the best chance?
Possibly, yeah.
Yes, it would be.
Yeah,
I believe so.
and
too.
plus, unlike a lot of, they really hate each other as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of rivalry.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They,
I love that.
Like, they really do hate each other.
I think you look across the other divisions, and each one has a team you're like, absolutely not, don't stand a chance.
Yeah.
Steelers do stand a chance. I've got them bottom.
Mike
But stand a chance.
I've got
if
them
Russell
bottom.
Wilson.
I got them third
Performs.
because I think the Browns are going to get in their own way, but I think because they've got Tomlin, I've got them potentially making the playoffs.
If you'd have put Russell Wilson in last year's Steelers team, that team would have been really quite good. And that is the difference. Because he played like this with the stats he had in that Steelers team last year, they'd have been much better. Because he was much, much better than the Broncos allowed him to actually show in terms of wins.
I think if you would have put Justin Fields in last year's team, they'd have been better as well.
I agree.
He still throws a really, really lovely long ball, Russell Wilson. And Van Jefferson, Scotty Miller can get there.
Pat Frymouth is a good tight end still.
So, yeah, Pickens, it's not an exciting set of receivers, but it might be enough for what they need. I think they're the third best team in this division. I'm not going to argue people who say they're fourth, but because of who they are, it's Tomlin. They're going to probably end up with at least a winning record, which gives them a chance at the playoffs.
Like Jim was saying, it's one of the few divisions you see where you could say realistically 3 or 4 wins could separate top to bottom in that division.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, you look at the East, Patriots are shit. You look at the South, we'll go on to it, Titans are shit. And you look at the West, Raiders are shit.
Yeah.
But you look at the North, and you're like, yeah, you can make that argument for the Steelers getting into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Very valid argument.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do the same for the other 3 teams as well.
Cool.
Where to next?
Do you want to go should we get the East?
Yeah. We can do the AFC East. So, this used to be my favourite every year. And then since COVID, it's all gone steadily downhill for me. But that's okay. That's fine. I will go through this in the order I believe they will finish in. I've heard other people say this is the best division in the AFC. And I do not believe it.
That's completely wrong.
That is what has been discussed on other podcasts, in fact.
Really?
I believe historically it might be, but I believe there's always been one team noticeably weaker than all the others.
Yeah.
Now it's just a different team, but there's always been one.
Yeah.
But by the by, I'm going to say that topping this division at the end of the season, the Dolphins.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah. I'm picking the Dolphins this year, and I never pick the Dolphins, but here's why.
I only say that because I had the Bills depth chart in front of me.
Some pluses for the Dolphins. For the most part, continuity.
Yep.
Mike McDaniel is, I think, such a good man manager. You hear very little complaining from players on the Dolphins, which is why I don't mind the Odell Beckham addition. If he was going to go to any team, this is one of the ones to go to. Turn up, be the third receiver, but let Mike McDaniel, he will pick packages that are just going to utilise Beckham to make him feel special. Now, he's going to miss the first 4 weeks on PUP. However, I still think it's a decent addition for them. I really love what Devon A-Chain did last year. He seems to be a name that's slightly slipped down people's thought a little bit since the season finished. But I just think, look for him again. In the games where they needed to take pressure off Tua, he was there. And it worked really well. It's not always been the case that the Dolphins have had the ability to force teams to stack the box, which gives Tua time to survey the field and pick out the ridiculous wide receiver combination. And that ultimately is what gets them across the line for me. Only the weather stopped them last year. No teams stopped them. Weather stopped them. And that, again, is going to be part of their Achilles heel. We have no evidence that they can play in the cold. which is ridiculous as a professional team. Just go and practice in the cold, right? Like, I know you're in Miami, but travel 400 miles and practice, or go indoors and turn the aircon on. Because there is no excuse. That's not a good enough excuse. And I didn't like that. Oh, it's the weather that beats them. But it's true.
Luckily, they're two... Yeah, there are two games where it is going to be cold. It is New England is going to be Sunday. Sunday, October, obviously it's going to be Sunday. It's going to be in October. And then the Bills, which is in the beginning of November.
I don't think they've got to worry about us too much. But
but it's a valid point.
The other major subtraction for them is the loss of Wilkins.
Yeah.
That is one of the few parts that you can say they have lost the continuity that's been building with this team. He's a huge presence, not just on the field, but in the locker room. People wanted to play with him. It'll be interesting to see how they manage that subtraction.
They've got another huge presence to replace him. Calais Campbell.
I mean, the guy has incredible length. But at the age he's at, is that any sort of upgrade? I don't think so.
I don't think it's an upgrade. I think it's a part that
may offset some of the loss.
Yeah, exactly. I think you look for other players to rotate in to provide that, I guess, the pass rush. Hopefully, looking forward to when Bradley Chubb comes back. Mm-hmm. I'm really keen to see their first round pick, Chop Robinson.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely on board with that. I think as well, as every year has gone by, Tua has just got better. Yeah. He's one of those quarterbacks you can genuinely see season on season.
Do you think he's shaken off this fitness, injury proneness?
I'm less concerned than I ever have been.
I think going through the season last year, fully fit, whole season, no real kind of worries as such that I remember.
And what tells you that the team aren't concerned anymore?
They gave him some money.
They let go.
They let Mike White leave. Right. So they've only kept Skylar Thompson. Well, they gave him bare money. Yeah. Not Bears money. I think as a floor and ceiling prediction, the floor for this team is 10 wins. The ceiling is 12. It's not a huge difference, but it's double figures either way. I cannot see how they don't win double figure games this year. And if they end up with a home game in the playoffs, the weather is less of an issue. That is how they find a recipe for success for me. Next up in the East, it'll be the Bills. And again, it'll be close, as we were saying with the North. Floor and ceiling is probably 9 and 11. It's only a step behind, but it's a step behind because they've kept Von Miller, who was terrible last year. 0 sacks, 4 pressures. Yeah. Like, he was bad. I only had 4 fewer pressures than Von Miller last year. Losing Stephon Diggs.
Don't think it matters.
Well, this is why I think it matters. Stephon Diggs doesn't walk out on Mike McDaniels. He walks out on Sean McDermott. And I am losing faith in Sean McDermott's ability to get this team to where they should be.
I am as well, but I think he is a disruption within that team. And I think actually replacing him with 2 or 3 receivers that might make up that production, I think is a positive move for the team overall.
I hope so. Whenever someone says these players are disruptive, and he clearly is, I always think back to when Mike Tomlin was dealing with Martavius Bryant, Le'Veon Bell. Like, he got the best, and Antonio Brown. He got the best out of some of the craziest players we've ever seen. And I think McDaniels may have that ability, whereas McDermott doesn't have that ability.
Agree with that.
And their window is shutting.
This is the last year.
The biggest plus for the Bills...
We mentioned it last week. I think
last year.
I think McDaniel plays the press better than any manager, which gives him rep with the players and also means he's never under pressure because
everyone loves him.
The press love him. But yeah, sorry,
no, that's fine. But for me, Josh Allen kindly gets overlooked because he's not Patrick Mahomes, but he is forcing Patrick Mahomes to be an amazing quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's a bit like Tom Brady won all the titles, but he was forced into some of those performances by Peyton Manning. Mm-hmm. Like, there's always going to be somebody who has to be on the losing side. But I think Josh Allen...
He's the Salieri to Mozart. Like,
like, phenomenal. What a reference on here. Fucking hell. You all right? Jesus,
I don't know where that came from.
No. That's an amazing reference. But you see my point. Like, he is every bit as good. He's just an amazing player. He will keep them in contention. But if they don't go to the championship game this year, McDermott's going. Because he has wasted the Bills' best chance for Super Bowl since 1990.
Yep.
For me.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree.
I think wasted is harsh because he's just come up against the
Yeah,
best,
of course.
the next dynasty.
Of course.
But it is, you know.
But you can't keep running with the same
owners aren't
thing.
going to want to say, well, actually, yeah, we just happen to be the second best team.
Yeah.
Why haven't you figured it out yet?
Yeah.
Yeah,
There will
at
be a
least
change.
once.
Yeah.
Also, the loss of Mitch Morse on the O-line is, again, much with Wilkins at the Dolphins, that is a guy who's not just a leader on the field, but a leader in the locker room. And I think McDermott needs those players, and that's a big loss for me. But I have the Bills second. I have the Jets finishing third. Floor and ceiling, I've got the floor at 6. Hear me out. I've got the ceiling at 11. It all depends which version of Aaron Rodgers we get. You're not going to get a week 1 injury all over again. Last year was phenomenally unlucky.
So funny.
It was one of the funniest things. 4 plays. 4 plays. I love the fact in the NFL Top 100 rundown where he still made the Top 100, the highlight of his last season was him running out onto the field. That's all they had. It was amazing. But, and I said, 4 or 5 weeks ago, why is everyone assuming that at 40 years old, he comes back and is peak Aaron Rodgers on a rehabbed injury like that?
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
On a rehabbed injury where he's used alternative things to try and get him back.
Sure, and maybe that's worked for him, but they need him to carry this team. He has to carry this team. Breece Hall, going to be a brilliant running back. I think he's got every intangible going, but he still needs a quarterback to open the field up for him.
He's an offensive line to open the field up for him as well. And I don't
The
rate
offensive
that
line, the offensive line isn't a top half of the league line, and the wide receivers that Rodgers is throwing to, Mike Williams is really good. He may not be top tier, but the next tier down, Mike Williams.
If he's back,
if
he's
fine.
fit, I love Mike Williams. I think he's
Garrett Wilson, maybe. It's a maybe. Tight end Tyler Conklin, it's 4 times a season, and the rest of the time he's not really present. And then tell me what I should be excited about the rest of the time. Alan Lazard was fucking pap last year. Tell me what Rodgers isn't elevating players as much anymore because he's old. And I don't understand why everyone's just as excited as they were last year because he's not going to be as good.
no.
Like,
He's going to be better than last year.
I mean,
maybe he goes out after 3 snaps this year though. So you can't.
Well, have you seen him in practice holding his other foot?
oh really? Oh, don't tease me, John.
So yeah, he's gone down because them strapping his ankle, but the other.
Because I can take the Patriots losing as long as the Jets are losing. It's when we're losing more than them. The other thing that concerns me with the Jets is Robert Saleh. He's a defensive genius whose teams have gone, 4-13, 7-9, 7-9. Now, quarterback play aside, they're giving up too many big defensive plays. And he's another coach for me that is on the hot seat.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Much so.
And people say, well, he didn't get anything out of Rodgers last year. And if Rodgers is not good this year, they'll say, well, he didn't get anything out of Rodgers. No, you can't keep going with this all the time. He's another one under pressure. And I don't see the Jets performing well enough for him to fight that off. It could be 4 losing seasons in a row for Robert Saleh.
And that'll be his last one.
Very few coaches survive that.
He's like you say, last season.
I think so.
I mean, the draft guys. I'm pick 2.
Oh,
Excellent stuff. Well,
anyone but McCaffrey then?
I'm looking forward to it.
We've got 5 minutes. Sorry.
All right.
I'm in now.
But yeah, I mean, so look, I know it's ridiculous of me to be down on the Jets just because I'm a Patriots fan, but I'm just offering some realism to those who are expecting Aaron Rodgers to be the same Aaron Rodgers he was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I just don't see it. And if I'm wrong, we'll see some good football and it will be entertaining, but I will be heartbroken. Finally,
Speaking of heartbroken.
yes, speaking of heartbroken, let's take a different tact on this. Let's look at what could be. come week 5, when Drake May inevitably starts for the team because we've gone 1-3 at best across a terrible opening 4 games, including having to play here, I think. We're playing one of the games abroad. We're just going to get, it's going to be bad. With Jacoby Brissett, who may or may not be nursing an injury, behind one of the bottom 3 O-lines in the league. Mm-hmm. Drake May is elusive enough and confident enough to at least show us something. And that's all he has to do. 4 wins we had last year. If we break the 4-win barrier this year, that is good progress for us because this team has very little on it to make you think they should win more than 4 games.
Some sort of competence after the last 2 years, I think, would just be so great because Mac Jones, as we mentioned before, had a good first year and then seemed to lose his head completely. Bailey Zappe there's a reason why he's now on the Chiefs practice squad. If there was some competence in that Patriots offense, then great.
Jacoby Brissett is competent, but he's not a winner. 18-33 as a starter in the league. But he's always been starting as a bridge quarterback for someone else.
Yeah.
Why do we think it's going to be much different to what we saw under Belichick? Effectively, this is Belichick's.
Yes.
That's what I mean. This year,
pick successor.
Yeah, this year. Well, I think the coaching will be a little bit different. I think he'll be much more in tune with the players.
Yeah, okay.
I really do believe that. But the problem is the players they've got.
The players just you look at
it's just not good enough.
No, they're not. Not at all.
You won't get me arguing you on that one because I can see the same list that you can. That was not the list there. And we all know that, you look at the wide receiver room, there's been some, quote, excitement about the wide receiver room. Tell me why I should be excited about that group.
I'm not excited about any of that. Yeah, the top wide receiver, according to ESPN, is Kendrick Bourne, and he's out for the first couple of games.
He's out, and when he's good for 5 games a season.
Exactly. I also, realistically, who's going to get the opposing quarterback?
Now, this is a bigger problem. Christian Barrymore.
Yeah.
Being out with, is it blood clots? And it's just indefinitely. It's just non-football injury indefinitely out. I don't think they had a plan B for that. There is no one rushing the passer.
I think that the strongest part of this team is the defensive backfield.
Which remains good, but would have been better if Judon had stayed. And they wouldn't pay him.
Exactly.
And I think that was an error as well.
I don't.
Do you not?
Why? Because I think if you could get Judon for 2 years, great.
Right.
If Judon wants a 3 to 4 year deal, then there's no point. It's wasted money. You're just going to be.
Okay.
You're just. I know you can say.
I think you do things like you guarantee the first 2 years, and the third year is just.
Maybe.
He wanted more than they were prepared to give up. And I don't mind them standing by it if there's a plan. And I think the plan is not quite burn it down, but pretty much bare bones it and start again. I think Mayo's got 3 years to build his own team.
Yeah.
I think that he knows Robert Kraft well enough that he would have said to him, there's no turning this ship around, we need a new ship. And I think that's why, instead of keeping Zapay to coach the new quarterbacks, they said, no, we don't want any of that. Slightly odd that you would bring in someone who had the same coaching 5 or 6 years ago. But I can respect Jacoby Brissett for his career, but he's not a winner.
No.
And I don't think he's there to win. I think if they get 5 wins and end up picking 2nd or 3rd in the draft, I think they'll be happy. And we just have to take that for what it is.
Sort of hope that is the plan.
I'm on the clock, guys. I'm on the clock.
Who went first?
Lamb, so McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Lamb, Hill, Chase, or Jefferson?
Hill.
Hill.
Quarterback play dictates, does it not? The Chase would be the other one.
Yeah.
But
I'd consider CeeDee Lamb as well, just because who else are you going to throw it to?
I'm not giving away any of my tactics. I'm picking 4 in our league. So the other thing that I don't like this year is the uncertainty on special teams, because our special teams has been pants for some time now. It used to be our best thing. Matthew Slater finally retired. That was our defensive captain, who'd been about the only good thing left. We're now going to have Joey Sly kicking for us after we binned off our rookie kicker from last year because he, was about as effective as me.
Hey, his missed kick against the Giants got you, Drake May.
That's true. But I only missed 6 fewer PATs than him last year. So I'm just saying it wasn't good. And Joey Sly is an okay kicker, but he's like an 84% kicker. He's not a great kicker. And we are going to be kicking for a lot of points this year.
But he's not going to be kicking many after touchdown points.
It's relying on you getting close to the point to the post.
Well, I just think that's going to be as close as we can get. We're not going to be scoring a lot of touchdowns.
No, I completely agree.
Let's find a positive.
All right.
Before I shut up. Ramondre Stevenson, I think, is an undervalued running back.
Yeah.
He will have no chance because of the O-line. We know this is the case. But if he's asked to carry the offense, I think he's shown enough to prove he can do it.
I think your biggest hope lies in the tight end room, with Hunter Henry being the Hunter Henry we saw a few years back.
And who's backing him now?
Austin Hooper, who I think is actually a decent tight end.
Yeah. But for how many games a season? 6? 8? He's not exactly available.
All right.
And
if you can throw to Keishon Booty, then
if we can play 2 tight end sets, which we haven't done for years after we were the people that did it, great. I'll take that. But it didn't work with Gesicki and Hunter Henry. I don't know why it would work now.
Henry, in the last 3 years, 17 games, 14 games. The injury curse is not a major.
Hunter Henry.
No. Hunter Henry.
Sorry, I said Austin Hooper.
Austin Hooper, sorry.
Sorry, I thought Hooper has missed chunks of time. Maybe I am wrong, but I thought it was him that I was questioning for his availability.
16, 17, 17.
Yeah, then I'm wrong. But
yeah, he doesn't start many games.
I think given the lack of depth at wide receiver, I think you have to start those 2 tight ends.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised that we cut Smith-Schuster. I don't think he's ever been the same player.
No,
his career's just taken the wrong
He's another
turn.
one that Tomlin managed very well.
Yes.
He's gone somewhere else and not been managed as well. And
he's won a Super Bowl, but...
Kadarius Toney's won 2.
He's not the same player, is he?
I literally got a message on I think it was from The Athletic, the Patriots page from The Athletic, saying reasons why Patriots fans should be excited about KJ Osborne. And I thought, no, I'm not opening this. This is wrong. So we will finish bottom. Our ceiling is 6. Our floor is 3. We're going to be rubbish.
Yeah.
Let's just embrace that.
Enjoy that early pick.
Enjoy the season. Because you can enjoy the season.
I will enjoy watching everybody else.
Yeah. Should we take a break?
Yeah.
Welcome back. So I'm balls deep now in my draft, and pleased so far. But
run us through it. We've got.
So I've got Tyreek Hill, Derrick Henry, Devon A-Chain.
Like it.
So
just to note, it's a 12-team
league.
Yeah.
There are quarterbacks have gone very early.
I was going to say, are you looking forward to having those players quarterbacked by Gardner Minshew?
Mate, Daniel Jones gets some touchdowns.
It would still be an improvement on the Raiders team.
Yeah, fucking hell. So anyway, whilst I'm here, Jim is going to take us through the South.
So I think my challenge here is to get through the whole of the South before John's next pick.
You've got my next pick. Bloody hell. I am 8 picks away.
All right,
no chance.
No chance of that. All right, I'm going to buck with the so-called tradition right now.
Buck. Right, go on. Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to go in reverse order as to how I think they're going to finish in the AFC South. So that means I'm kicking off with the Tennessee Titans.
Coming from the rear.
They are back to being the Titans. They had a little period there where they were decent. Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, running the ball. No one can stop them. Playoff positions. Winning divisions. Brilliant. And now they got rid of Rabel and thought that was a good decision and have gone to shit again, I think. I don't like Will Levis at quarterback. Sorry, that just doesn't do it for me. I think he had one good game and everyone jumped on a hype chain, but I don't think it's all there. Tony Pollard as starting running back. Sorry, no, not in this team. And the wide receiver is just depth is just old. I love DeAndre Hopkins. I think he's probably the best wide receiver in football at one point. He was absolutely quarterback proof, but now he's old. He can't do it, and Calvin Ridley's there as his backup. 5 years ago, that would have been a really good wide receiver duo. The one area where I think they have strengthened is the offensive line. I like the pickup of J.C. Latham in the draft. Moving Skoronski to left guard gives them some real strength on that left side. That is a glimmer of hope for the running game, I think. But then again, on the defense, apart from Jeremy Simmons, for me, it's a lot of backups. And I just don't see the strength there. And it's a new coach. I think eventually he might do well, but this team just isn't doing it for me.
I'm entirely with you. I also have the Tetons comfortably last in this division. The question for me is, which was the biggest mistake? Binning off Tannehill or binning off Vrabel?
Vrabel.
I agree.
Yeah.
Now, people didn't like the fact that he was very run-heavy, leaning on Derrick Henry. But what they seem to have failed to take into consideration is, with an average team, he was getting to the playoffs.
He won games.
Yeah.
Like,
do they not remember what came before Vrabel?
That's
Do you
exactly.
remember the Mike Munchak years?
Oh, God.
Come on now. Come on now. There's a reference from the past.
Fuck it up.
I mean, they were terrible. They were just consistently terrible for a number of years. And then Vrabel came in and completely revolutionised the culture in that team, found a way of playing which allowed them to win games. And yeah, it might not have been the sexiest of football. Saying that, watching Derrick Henry rip off a 99-yard run, I thought was fucking hilarious and brilliant to watch. And the amount of handoffs there were awesome. It worked. And you know what? They could have paid Derrick Henry. They could have kept him. They could have kept Vrabel. And if you would have had that combination with Will Levis, it might have given you a bit more hope. But with a new quarterback, an offensive line which I think is better than it was last year, but it's still got a gel, and a running back who, flashes of greatness at the Cowboys, but
Did nothing last year.
did nothing last year when he was elevated to the number one spot.
So how long before Spears is the number one running back?
I don't know enough.
I think-
about it.
I think they're both 1.5.
Yeah,
there.
I do as well. And for me, Will Levis is basically Josh Allen light, but really light.
But really, yeah.
And that's the problem. Like, he's this big arm. This is what he wants to do, but it's not refined anywhere near enough.
Is the O-line coach coming in going to help?
I think so, yeah.
If he can scheme...
Eventually.
I think a good O-line coach is worth its weight of gold. You look at what was Skarkekia
Dante Scarnecchia.
at the Patriots.
Belichick used to say he was worth 3 wins a year.
Absolutely. And that was because they maybe didn't have the greatest offensive line players, but they coached him up to be brilliant. Trent Brown has been terrible everywhere else he's been, apart from when he was at the Patriots, under that coach. So, yeah, I think they'll get better. Like I said, I think that offensive line is going to be decent, but DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley just don't do it for me anymore.
I'm afraid I agree. Hopkins, like you say, has been one of the best players we've seen play football. Just players.
He's
Yeah,
first,
full
though, isn't he? It's
Yeah.
what happened. Like, there is a
Who
drop
put in
off.
our group that this would have been the best wide receiver group back in 2019? Because
it's true.
whoever that
Yeah.
was right. And it's just not going to work. And I can't get on board with Will Levis. I need to see it. But I think there's more chance of Mason Rudolph coming in and playing 6 games than there is of Will Levis winning 8 games.
Yes, I would comfortably agree with that. I think their floor is 4 games. I think their ceiling is 7.
Yeah, I think you're about right. I have you about right.
I can't argue with it. I would like to. I think if they can get the O-line scheme working, I think they could be like one of those sneaky ones with 2 weeks to go. You're saying, "Fuck no, they're not out the playoff running yet."
Yep.
They won't make the playoffs.
But is that possible because the division is what the division's going to be, and there's going to be a lot of scrabbling around for
Possibly.
wins within the division?
But you got to, that doesn't, that's
Sure.
that's what
Sure,
they're in.
yeah,
That's what they're in. So yeah. But yeah, I don't think they're a great team, but I think I like
Random
what
question.
they've done.
Is Ryan Stonehouse back at punter, or is he still injured? I know that's one of them questions nobody's waiting for, but he got quite badly injured last year.
ESPN have him as fit. Don't have a questionable.
He
mark
was
against everyone else, so
he
yeah.
was an outstanding punter.
I mean, when your punter is your best player,
I'm not saying he's their best player, but
Yeah.
I think
Oh god, yeah! I've just got the video up of when he got
positional wise, if you're going to be a run-based offense,
yes, it does help.
it really helps.
I don't think they are going to be a run-based offense, and that's what worries me.
You know, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. So that was the Titans. Now the next two, I think, is probably where the biggest consternation will be. I'm going to go with the Colts.
I've also got the Colts next in this division.
Oh, wow. I thought you'd both go with the Jaguars.
No, I've got the Colts.
I can see John's face.
You tell me why, but I think I see this coming.
Okay, so Colts, I kind of do like what they're building. I want Anthony Richardson to be fit for the whole of this season, stay fit, because the first couple of games, he did look fucking good. Like running the ball, it looked like a new Lamar. Unfortunately, he still needs practice. We talked about this earlier, didn't we? He had 13 starts in college, and a lot of that is disruption about injury. And then he goes into the NFL, he plays, I think it was 3 games, and then he's out for the season. That is my biggest worry about this team, is if he goes down, Joe Flacco's your backup. I like Joe Flacco. What he did in the Browns last year.
He is the antithesis of Anthony Richardson.
Yeah,
is he?
he's the complete opposite. The complete opposite. And I think that, for me, that's the biggest concern. I like Jonathan Taylor. He's a great running back on his day. I think this offensive line can only get better because it was so bad last year. I really like the addition of Adonai Mitchell, the Texas receiver, coming in to help support Pittman Jr.
You know what you haven't, I was going to say, you haven't mentioned yet, is the wide receiver room.
Yeah.
I mean, it's rubbish.
It's not the best.
I think John's next up on the depth chart, and I've seen his wingspan. It's quite small.
That's one, and I think that coupled with Richardson's accuracy, if he is fit, would worry me. This is going to be, if you happen to be drafting in a fantasy draft, I think Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson are 2 players to probably go after simply for the running yards that they're going to get. Anthony Richardson might cost you interceptions.
If Jelani Woods is fit, he will be a decent tight end because Richardson is going to have to dump that ball off to the tight ends. But he missed, all or most of last year?
I mean, he's not even listed on the depth chart for ESPN.
Jelani,
he may still be out.
Oh, God, yeah.
I've still got Mo Alley Cox and Kylan Granson.
Mo Alley Cox hasn't been good for years. He had that 1 year where he was stellar.
Yeah.
But,
oh, no. Jelani Woods goes on to IR, will miss 2nd straight season.
Oh, that's a disaster.
Sorry, Paul.
1 day ago, yeah.
That I didn't even see that. I think that lowers their ceiling even more because Richardson will need those sorts of players.
I do also worry about the defense. I think they've got one genuine pass rusher in DeForest Buckner, and then a lot of parts around him. And then the backfield is also a bit.
I like Julian Blackman at safety.
He's a bit, isn't he?
Yes, but he's a good player.
Leader, and I like Kenny Moore playing nickelback. But
Kenny Moore the second.
Yes, Kenny Moore the second. But I don't see
him for nickelback. What's he on bass?
I never saw him as a
grunge. Anyway, moving on.
Moving swiftly on.
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to be particularly good. No.
All right then. The Jaguars.
Yeah, we have this in the same order.
Is this the season for Trevor Lawrence? That's my biggest question.
Actual question or rhetorical question?
Both.
No. But only because it's the Jags. He'll look good in 3 or 4 game stretches and then he'll have a shocker because he has yet to show that he has any consistency in the locker. He's a good player when the game flow is going the Jags' way. And he looks a little flustered when he's expected to carry the team. And I don't know why that would be, but I think Doug Pederson must be a very difficult coach to play under. And I think he has a lot of expectation. Imagine if Doug Pederson was saying to you, why can't you fucking do it? I won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles. That would hit you quite hard. Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is better than we've already seen.
I think he will be. That's I've been on this train for a long time now. In that Trevor Lawrence, I think, is a really good quarterback. And yes, Gary, his stats might not say he's a good quarterback, and they may say he's very slim as a Gardner Minshew. But we don't live in the box score. We live actually looking at quarterbacks playing football, and he can play good quarterback play. I think this is probably his best wide receiver group. or receiver group in total, if you include Evan Ingram.
That helps.
I really love the pickup of Brian Thomas Jr. I think he's going to be really good. Everything in preseason and all the hype points to him being really good, which obviously means he's going to be.
You've always been a Gabe
shit.
Davis fan as well.
I like Gabe Davis.
Do you not think the wide receiver room is thin?
No.
No?
I think past the top three.
Top 3 or 4.
But you've got 4 solid. If you include the tight end, actually, if you include the running back as well, because Travis Etienne is one of those running backs that will play out of the backfield and will play a part in the passing game.
Sure.
You've got 5 solid receivers there. John's looking stressed. You picking soon?
Oh no, it's fine. I'm just looking, and Calvin Ridley in this draft is dropping like a fucking stone.
I'm not fucking surprised.
It's the biggest dropper. So yeah.
They've brought on Mitch Morse. I think is a good pickup.
Yeah, absolutely.
I still don't rate Cam Robinson on left tackle, but his consistency, what have you. I think the offensive line is decent. They also added in on the defense Eric Armstead, who was a massive part of that 49ers defense. Probably bigger than most people I think really expect.
Yes.
And I think and not just in terms of the person on the field, but his personality in the locker room as well. He was consistently the 49ers vote for Walter Payton Man of the Year. He's that type of leader in that locker room, I think, helps. I think that will help with some of the younger players like Trayvon Walker, who has not lived up to his number 1 billing.
Not yet.
But
the talent is there.
The talent's there. And also Josh Allen as well is a good pass rusher still.
This is why. So you've just mentioned, right, some real high points about the Jags. Like the O-line. That O-line is a good O-line. The defence is good. It may not be earth-shattering, but it's good.
It's got some good pieces compared to some of the
Travis Etienne, John pulled a bit of a face when we said that you should draft him. I really like him. If you're in PPR, he's going to be getting all of those, right?
Yep.
Really, really good. The wide receiver room is okay. It's thin, but it's okay. And I like Evan Ingram. All of this points to Trevor Lawrence. Can you make the difference? And I haven't seen it yet. That's all I can say.
To be fair, we saw. I think his second season was good.
Flashes.
I think last season wasn't good. I completely agree with you there.
I don't think it's all on Trevor. I think the days of Saxonville are long gone.
Yes.
And the defence last year was, at times, really bad. Like you could put some big points on Jacksonville, and it was then up to Lawrence to gunsling his way back into it. And he's not. I don't think he's that type of quarterback. I think he's.
Don't forget, last year the Jags were 8-3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it wasn't for the Eagles, their collapse would have been.
Well, they missed the playoffs, 8-3, and you missed the playoffs.
Yeah. But I'm saying if it wasn't for the Eagles' collapse, it would have been the biggest story in the season. But the Eagles dominated that. But it's mad.
Cool. So that takes us on to the Texans.
Surely consensus for the number 1 team in this division, John?
Yeah.
Right.
I think this is one of the easier ones to pick. I think they've got stronger. As much as we said about Stefan Diggs being a disruption in the locker room, I feel like they've built a good locker room cohesion already, and I don't think they're going to let Stefan Diggs take that disrupt that too much. For me, Nico Collins and Tank Dell are still number 1 and 2, and Stefan Diggs will have to make up for being a bit part in this offense. I really like the pickup of Joe Mixon. That's a great addition to their running back stable. They've also still got Damian Pierce, and they've got Cam Akers as well. All right, he might not be fit all the time.
But when he's moving,
but when he is fit,
Cam Akers
as a 3-piece running back, that's the best one in the league.
Absolutely, yeah. And Dalton Schultz at tight end is quality. Picked up a tight end in the draft, Cade Stover, who I think is going to be really good. And the offensive line is the same offensive line that they've had, and it's a solid offensive line.
Shaq Mason and Laramie Tunsil, that's a really great foundation.
Absolutely, yeah. On the defense side of the ball, a lot of the same players have kind of remained, so they're building that cohesion. And let's not forget, they've got a defensive head coach as well, and he can drill that team into what he wants. I think we're going to see a bit more from Will Anderson this year. I think we'll see him alongside Danielle Hunter really go after quarterbacks. I think that as a duo of pass rushers experience in Danielle Hunter, and then the youth of Will Anderson, I think is going to be unstoppable. And yeah, I see them going deep in the playoffs.
You didn't mention Robert Woods.
You're right. I didn't mention Robert
I'm just
Woods.
saying he's still on the roster.
He is on the roster.
16th best receiver in the league.
I'm not even sure he's 16th best receiver in
not
his team.
anymore. No, not anymore. Okay, so my question
Go on.
to do with the Texans: can they get enough out of Jeff Okudah so that not everything is on Derek Stingley Jr.?
Potentially.
Well, I know potentially, but can they do it? Because he has started and then disappeared from 2 teams so far, and yet the talent, he was so good in college. Like, come on.
This, I mean, admittedly, now this is his chance with D'Amico Ryans as his head coach. Like, if he doesn't make it here, I'm sorry, he's
gone.
out the league.
I agree. I think he'll be gone in 2 years if he doesn't become a star. It's like that. It's boom or bust, and you rarely see that at that position.
Yeah.
But I really think it is.
I think the biggest difference now is that he's on the team who. I think this is probably the best defense he's played on.
Yeah.
And to your point, John, D'Amico Ryans being on there, I think helps. Having a free safety like Jimmy Ward, I think helps the cornerbacks as well because he can. Revert
Jimmy Ward's a great player.
Oh yeah, he can revert into that kind of cornerback safety hybrid role.
Jeff Okudah consistently reminds me of another ex-Lions player and podcast favourite, Eric Ebron, in that you're looking at a man who should be incredible at what he does, and every week you're like, but hang on, Jeff, come on, man.
We're going to rename it the Jeff Okudah Participation Trophy.
Well, let's hope not. But that's for me. I don't have any issues with the offense for the Texans. I think they are just going to sail this year.
My one watch out is second-year quarterbacks.
Yes.
Because you often see it where a second-year quarterback has a brilliant debut season, and then there is a slump. That sophomore slump, as they say.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. And this is one of these ones I'll be listening back to in a few years' time. Yeah. But for me, Stroud is a franchise quarterback talent.
I agree. And I think they've added pieces around him rather than...
Nico Collins was amazing as well.
Yeah. Tank Dell was a great wide receiver too as well.
Yeah.
That out of nowhere, they had a pair of really good wide receivers. They strengthened in the running back. They strengthened in the wide receiver room as well. And Dalton Schultz is still going to do Dalton Schultz things.
And having Stephon Diggs just in the slot, I think no team gets weaker by adding Stephon Diggs. He might get more troublesome.
Who's the NFL's most accurate kicker over the last 2 years? Ka'imi Fairbairn.
Yeah.
And the guy is becoming a star at a position where it's very difficult to be. If you're not
Justin Tucker.
Justin Tucker,
well, do you know who the first kicker gone in this fantasy league?
Ka'imi Fairbairn.
Tucker?
Nope.
Go on.
It was Dustin Hopkins in the fucking 8th round.
Oh wow!
Somebody likes that team.
Someone's.
Go on, read us through your picks. Since we've been
quarterback, I've currently got Jaden Daniels because I do like a rookie quarterback. Unlike some people, Derrick Henry, Devon A-Chain, Tyreek Hill, Deontay Johnson, Mark Andrews, Alvin Kamara. I don't have a kicker. I've got the 49ers defense, and I currently have Javonte Williams as a bench running back, who I think is actually going to have a good year.
Yeah, I do as well.
So I'm not upset with my team so far. I need some wide receivers, but I'm gonna make hay on the rookies.
Fair.
So anyway, I'll keep you updated as we go. So is that
That's us. So yeah, Texans, Jags, Colts, Titans in that order.
If Richardson stays fit, so it's a big if. I think Colts, Jags go the other way around. But that's just my own bias as an anti-Jags bastard. I guess so. Paul, now to leave the West.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for your input there.
Yeah. So I guess I'll do it then. I'll also do it in alphabetical order here.
Actually.
So D, Denver. Second, so it's Peyton. Wilson, he gone. But Bo Nix is in, who looks more like a Peyton quarterback. The loss of Wilson's buying Peyton time because, of course, they've had to eat the biggest cap hit of all time. But, yeah, so Bo Nix is quarterback, starting quarterback. Jarrett Stidham came out and was like, well, I think I should be. And Zach Wilson was like, yeah, good for Bo. I was like, well, good for you, Zach. That's some maturity we haven't seen before.
See, but hang on. I don't mind someone coming out and going, I think it should have been me, if they genuinely think that. But then you've got to be prepared for the backlash you get in the house. Whereas Zach Wilson probably just endeared himself to everyone. And he still has the opportunity to make a career in the league. He's never going to be a comfortable starter. But let's stop laughing at Zach Wilson and respect the fact he's still clinging on and trying to be a productive member of a team.
Yep. So, Javonte Williams, he's back from his injuries. So hopefully this is the season we'll see him back to his best. I say that as someone who's just literally just drafted him. But Jaleel McLaughlin showed bits of being able to
They'll need him to step up because they released Pirine.
Yes.
A lot of hype around Blake Watson as well, who was an undrafted free agent.
And it's
running backs.
Running back, yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah.
So, Tim Patrick's gone. So all they're left with Cortland Sutton, Josh Reynolds, Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin, and Devon Vale are the... Oh, shit, I'm on the clock.
Pick Cortland Sutton. I bet he's gone, hasn't he?
No, I'm going to go with Thomas from the Jags.
Yes, like it.
Go with rookies. You never know. So, Dulcich as a tight end,
Adam Troutman as well.
And Adam Troutman. Yeah, so there's players there. Defense.
You didn't mention Philip Dorsett.
Didn't I?
No.
Is he there?
Yes.
Fucking hell.
Wide receiver 5.
Oh, fucking hell. I didn't know. Oh, he's not on my list.
Not on ESPN.
One
day ago, Broncos cut 8 players, including Philip Dorsett.
Oh, boo.
Oh, shit, I'm back on the clock.
I obviously looked at this before these cuts happened.
Brock Blowers, tight end.
Oh, rookie. Yeah, I like it.
Yep.
Dane Bowers.
Yeah.
You're out of your mind. Don't know where that's come from.
Salieri and Dane Bowers. What a fucking show. So defense.
You don't get this anywhere else.
Defense. There's no proper stars on this anymore. Like they have
Pat Surtain.
Apart from Pat Surtain, like Simmons has gone. The players that were there for years, including like Chubb, they've all moved on.
It's gradually been eroded.
It's a youth revolution.
Yeah.
So we'll see what it is because at the moment I don't particularly know. I'm not really. The thing with the Broncos is they do at least have Peyton, and I'm not quite sure if he's the same Peyton that was so innovative at the Saints, but I mean, let's not compared to the boiled bollock that went before him. And compared to some of the head coaches, even in this, another coach in this division, it gives them chances. So I'm not quite sure with the Broncos. I think they're going to end up third in this division.
What's the minimum number of wins that sees Sean Payton not on the hot seat at the start of next season?
7?
7, yeah, I was going to say 7.
7?
See, I don't think it's that many. I think it's 6. But we're in the similar ballpark.
Yeah.
It's just that I think that Elway, et al. At the top, all those who are at the top anyway.
I think what matters is that Bo Nix shows promise.
That's it. It's a bit like the Patriots situation.
Yeah.
Like, just show me that it's different.
Yes.
Show me that it's different and don't worry about the product on the field.
Can we just have some weeks where we're not the laughing stock of the league?
What did they concede in that game?
70.
Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
And that's all I think Peyton has to do.
Yeah.
Show us.
Not concede 70 points.
Just show us growth.
Yeah.
Don't worry about getting to the playoffs. And for what it's worth at the moment, I think Bo Nix will probably be very good.
I think from what I've seen, I think he's going to be pretty good as well. Las Vegas Raiders.
The Las Vegas Raiders.
Las Vegas Raiders.
Loss.
Sounds better, yeah.
So Jimmy G's gone. No one's sad about that, but it's going to be Minshew over O'Connell because Minshew earns more money, even though effectively they are the same player. Samir White is running the backfield. It's still Devontae Adams and random others in the wide
Michael
receiver.
Gallup.
No, it would have been, but he retired.
Did he?
Yeah, he retired rather than
Oh,
be a
you
Raider.
did tell me this. Yeah, rather than be a Raider. That's upsetting.
Jacoby Myers is...
Yeah, and Jacoby Myers was actually better once he left the Patriots than he was for anyone else. But you're quite right. I'm stopping you at this point because I want to say it right now. I think Devontae Adams won't be there by the end of the year. 100%. And I think this wide receiver room is basically terrible. And the Raiders are going to be shonky as fuck this year, like really bad.
I think they're going to be really nifty on defense.
Nifty?
Like, I think they can make some big games on defense. They can also, but the fact is they're going to be on the pitch so fucking often that they, by the end of the season, they're going to be out on their feet. Like, adding Christian Wilkins, brilliant,
great.
You know, that defensive line could be really, really great. But what's the point of them getting back on the field to then have... I like Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew is like
he's the modern Fitzpatrick.
He's the 32nd best quarterback in the league. But
33rd.
I think he's better than Jones.
I think he's better than Daniel Jones as well.
I wasn't including Daniel Jones in that top 33.
Gardner is fine, but he's not going to be throwing to anyone.
No.
Devontae Adams doesn't want to play with Gardner Minshew. He wanted to play with Derek Carr.
Yep.
Like, I'm surprised we haven't heard more about this. And I think it will just flare up when they're 0-5.
I think it's if they don't have a good start to the season, he's not going to be there. But yeah, but the defensive line is great. Jack Jones showed some, once he left the Patriots, looked really good. How many picks away? I'm 5 picks away. So
look at it.
If the defense can keep them tight in the game, Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, Harrison Bryant as tight ends, there's some great players there. Potentially, Brock Bowers looks like an absolute star.
They're playing 2 tight end set.
Yeah,
all right, that's decent.
Michael Mayer could be, I think, it's quite good blocking tight end, but that gives Brock Bowers the chance. But he looks like an absolute fucking star. But
their schedule, just first 5 games at Chargers. Probably don't know enough about the Chargers at the moment, but I'm going to say they're going to lose that. At Ravens, I think we can all agree they probably lose that. Home to the Panthers. Probably just about win that. Home to the Browns, lose that. At Broncos, lose that.
4-1 to start the season. 1-4 to start the season. How many of the quote star players are going to be happy on this team?
Yeah.
None. Max Crosby loves being a Raider. Yeah. But you're also losing the best years of your career on a team that isn't winning. They interviewed that young fan on the TV the other day. He said, "Oh yeah, what do you think of the Raiders' coming season?" He went, "We're not going to the Super Bowl." and you're like, well, yeah, because they're not. There's like.
So what you're saying is they're not contenders.
They're not contenders. No, I'm nailing my colours to the mast early this year. There's 8 teams realistically that you can say have no chance of going to the Super Bowl this year at this point of the season, and they are one of them. Again. And, you can say what you like about Jimmy G, but have they upgraded with Gardner Minshew? Probably not. It's probably just the same.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see any difference. Aiden O'Connell, no difference. It didn't matter. They could swap them under a mask each week, and nothing will change. It's just...
Shit.
Are they... This is my question. Are they consistently the worst run organisation in the NFL? Just in terms of longevity and consistency. Ooh. Since Al Davis died, which is now 24 years ago.
I would put the Jets in that bracket as well.
I think that's fair. Sure.
I think the Raiders are worse.
At least with the Jets, you can see a glimmer of hope. I know there's a lot of ifs with the Jets. If the offensive line plays well, if Aaron Rodgers stays fit.
But when they needed to change, the Jets went and got Aaron Rodgers.
They tried at least.
Sure,
Yeah.
but the Raiders went and got Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
They had their franchise quarterback in Derek Carr and never supported him.
Yeah.
And then they got Gardner Minshew, and the crap they had last year with Jimmy G. But they've
they
given
tanking?
more weapons to those players than they ever gave to Derek Carr.
is it a deliberate tank?
I don't think so.
I don't think it is.
I don't think so.
No.
I just don't think they're very good.
No, there's no deliberate about that at all. I think they're just shit.
When we were out shopping recently, Amy said to me, "Why is there so much Raiders gear everywhere when they're so shit?"
Because no one can sell it.
It just seems it's just because it's black and silver and everyone
Yeah.
looks better in black and silver.
Yeah.
But
It
that's
looks-
it. They're just a brand. They're not a competitive team.
Yeah, no, that's it. They're a cool logo.
Every time they seem to maybe on the cusp of being competitive or being decent,
They fuck it up.
they do something to fuck it up, like your point with Carr.
And that's the thing. Like I think with the Jets, there's glimmers. Every so often, like the Sanchez years, where they got into the got into
Championship
the
game.
and there's a willingness to make the changes. Like a couple of years ago, the Jets, for instance, brought in Le'Veon Bell and CJ Mosley and these big players, and it didn't work because they brought in the head coach who I've forgotten his name. Was also at Miami.
Gase.
And it was fucking shit. But yeah, I think the Vegas Raiders are the worst run team in football. Apart from apart from the Washington team, who we don't know because they're new ownership.
That's why I brought it up, because the Commanders are new ownership,
Yep.
so we haven't seen anything different. They have the worst stadium, but they're not necessarily the worst group. And the Browns is the other one. But I would contend over the years, the Browns have had flashes of
Last 5 years, the
of
Browns have
being
been
much more
competitive.
And the Raiders would be delighted with that level of competency. The Texans are the other one you can throw in, where they've gone through years of mediocrity, but again, they've turned it round. You can't
To be
now
fair,
say.
like, they were decent when Deshaun Watson was decent
And
before,
they were good under Bill O'Brien,
Yeah.
and but just for longevity of being, it's the Raiders, like that, it's got to be worth a medal on its own. Fucking
Yeah,
hell.
no, I agree.
Sorry.
Anyway,
sorry.
So we'll move on to the Chargers. New coach after the years of Staley. It's now Harbaugh, who has come in and proved that he's just a weird dude, and I really like it. So they have moved. So they had to move on some of the star players because they were in cap hell, and we said, they might move on Bosa and Mack, which would be the thing. What they did move on was Keenan Allen and Johnson and
Mike Williams.
even. Sorry, they've kept Johnson. Mike Williams. And
I don't mind that.
I don't mind it because they're players.
Keenan Allen was on the downhill.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
still
yeah,
brilliant.
I think that's
still
fair.
brilliant, but
Get rid of me a year too early rather than a year too late.
yeah.
I'm okay with that.
They have one of the best quarterbacks in the game. They even if we're going to deny, some people will deny it. J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, big powerful runners now. They have not much at wide receiver, but I don't think Harbaugh's going to be too worried about that.
None of Harbaugh's team have ever had brilliant wide receivers.
No.
Even at college level, you look at what are the receivers that came out of Michigan in his time there.
Yeah, no.
Donovan Peoples-Jones is the only one I can name who's been
Lad
good.
McConkey's come in. He looks like an absolute Harbaugh quarterback as running wide receiver. He's tough, hardworking.
PPR leagues, I think that.
While
might be a steal.
you're talking about receivers for the Chargers, did you see that they waived Donald Parham, who last year was really good at tight end?
Yeah.
And he's been picked up immediately by the Broncos, like in the last few hours. So actually, that's improved the Broncos and weakened the Chargers, and that's a very odd. I thought Parham was good last year. Like,
Yeah,
it seems an odd decision.
They've got Will Dissly and they've got Hayden Hurst. Is Parham better than those
He's
two?
better than Dissly.
I don't know.
I don't know about Hayden Hurst. Maybe. But I really liked Parham, and I agree. It's a thin room, but it's never seemed to bother Harbaugh before.
Hasn't.
They're going to run.
This offensive line is good as well.
Yeah.
Like the 2 tackles. Joel is obviously a rookie, but I mean, so much to be made of it. You just look at the guy when he got drafted. He's just wearing like a
He's a
jumper,
football guy.
and he is the size of a fucking house.
Absolute monster. Love it.
Yeah.
Proper football guy.
Yeah.
Like, you know. But yeah, they've so can Bosa, Mac be more
Dynamic.
resilient?
Productive.
I guess? Productive. There's some good players like Asante Samuel Jr. still there, Derwin James on the defense. But bizarrely for years, their defense has been pretty rubbish, despite having a defensive head coach. This is, I think that it's a transitional year. Like Harbaugh's, not in any trouble, but I still think they could be better than the Raiders.
I do as well. I think with Harbaugh as well, you get what we talked about with Mike Vrabel. He brings a culture into that club, doesn't he? Which all the players need to buy. Now, maybe it's that Donald Palmer didn't buy into that culture.
Maybe.
And if that's the case, then Harbaugh's just going to get rid of him. No matter what the quality, he wants the people to buy into that. And that's what made the 49ers good under his stewardship. And that's what made Michigan good under his stewardship. I think it's unlike the Chargers to make a good decision. I think they've made the best possible decision in terms of bringing him in as a head coach. In terms of head coaches that were available.
Yeah.
Yeah, he seems to have dodged the college bad smell that was coming his way, right?
Yeah.
Like, there was clearly some very untoward recruiting practices going on there.
He's always been one to
Bend the rules.
So, yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
So, the question is, for the Chargers, will they win a playoff game this year?
No.
Oh, he's thinking. It's a tough one.
It is a tough one.
Because can they? Yes.
Yes.
Will they?
Oh, can they? Yeah.
No, I'm saying will they? Can they is an easy yes.
No. Can they? Yes, but they won't.
I don't think they will.
No.
I still don't think it gets them over that line.
I think it gets them in the playoffs.
Sure. And then you can win
But
one.
it's
But
gonna,
will they win
obviously,
one?
with the Chiefs in the division, it's not going to be a home playoff game.
Seems unlikely.
So you're going to be going away to probably someone like the Ravens, and no.
Yeah.
Harbaugh again.
The Harbaugh action. For the record, Justin Herbert is a brilliant quarterback. Yeah. He's had some rough coaching with Brandon Staley. I think you'll see him play better this season. I think Harbaugh will love him, and he will love Harbaugh, and they will get the best out of what looks like a up and down room.
Quarterbacks buy into Harbaugh.
Yeah, they do. And Gus the Bus. Gus the Bus with 13 touchdowns last year, now coming to the Chargers. I think that's really good. And if J.K. Dobbins can be fit enough to be the number 2 on a regular basis, I think that's a really good punch.
It is, yeah.
Like that you've just taken the Ravens running back room from 2 or 3 years ago and dropped it straight into this team. They know each other. They know how it works. And that will...
They know Harbaugh football.
And Harbaugh.
Yeah.
So I like it. I really like it.
So, Kansas City Chiefs.
Going to win again, aren't they?
No. They're going to win this division again because it's so fucking easy for them. Because all the other teams just make it so easy. Like, they let them... Every year, the Chiefs have won the division by week 5. Like, it's absolutely fucking mad.
No, I think we had question marks over them last year. I think.
Yeah, we have question marks, but no point did we ever think they're not going to win the division.
Yeah.
Because by week 5, they're probably like 4-1. Everyone else is 2-2 and 2-3, and so Mahomes is still there. Travis Kelce's still there. Chris Jones is still there. That's the best quarterback, the best tight end. It's the best defensive player in the division. You could argue for in the league. They've lost L'Jarius Sneed, which is a loss. They couldn't afford to keep Sneed and Jones. They went with Jones. I don't think anyone is, going to argue with the choice too much because Jones is that good. there is a lot of illegality in this locker room on this season. We've had Rashee Rice. There was the guy who was mistreating dogs. Harrison Butker.
Michael Vick.
To be fair, Harrison Butker wasn't illegal.
It wasn't illegal. Just a dick. And if you're going to have those opinions, maybe don't do it at a commencement address, you fucking dickhead. The team actually isn't that much weaker than last year. Actually, you could argue in some ways it's a little bit stronger. They've added Xavier Worthy into the wide receiver room. He looks like he's going to be fun.
Is he going to be Tyreek Hill?
Yeah.
Or is he going to be
Kadarius Toney
or Sky Moore, or who was the other quick one they had? Really quick guy they had a couple of years back. Anyway, Hardman, Mecole Hardman.
Well, they've still got Mecole Hardman.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's still there.
They've still got Sky Moore.
Yeah.
Like they're there'll be special teams and stuff. I think the thing that puts me off the Chiefs retaining is not the Chiefs squad. I think actually the players around are good enough. There's a good enough defense, and Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football.
Rookie at left tackle.
Yeah,
that's the only second round pick, Kingsley Suamataia, or something like that. That harks back to when that season where they lost to the Bucs in the Super Bowl when Patrick Mahomes didn't have a good offensive line. He's still able to do magic things, just not as magical. So is Jawan Taylor and Kingsley, whatever his name is, going to be strong enough to make sure that Patrick Mahomes doesn't get destroyed?
Exactly.
My question for the Chiefs revolves around Travis Kelce.
He's shown that he's
showing some age.
He's showing his age.
Yeah, I mean,
and
basically, is he in the best 3 tight ends come the end of the season in the league?
Yes.
You still think so? Because I think he'll probably finish the year injured. Like, I just don't... I cannot see that the team goes through the season unscathed. It's a bit like when you saw peak Patriots, or back in the day, peak Niners, peak Steelers. At some point, something comes along and trips these teams up, which is why no one's ever done 3 in a row.
Yeah.
It's doable, but it's unlikely.
It is, yeah.
And I don't see this team being outstandingly better than Cowboys teams in the 90s, Niners teams in the 80s and 90s, Patriots teams in the 2000s. There's nothing that makes me look at this and go, oh yeah, they're definitely on for a win.
That's the thing. I think that actually the team's better than last year in a lot of ways. The thing is, no one does 3 in a row because it's so fucking hard.
It's doable, but you've got to be lucky as well.
I think this we'll do our predictions next week.
Yeah.
I think they walk away with this division. Of course, they make the playoffs. I think the playoff will go through Arrowhead. I just don't see them doing the Super Bowl because to do 3 in a row is. I don't think they've made the deal with the devil that
do you think
requires it.
That Harbaugh being at the Chargers finally gives Andy Reid some competition with the coaching in this division?
I hope so, yeah.
Because Sean Payton isn't going to be ready for that with the Broncos. No. That's not there. The Raiders just not.
Yeah.
But the Chargers should have been the team pushing the Chiefs the last 2 or 3 years. Yeah. But
they have beaten them a couple of times.
Yeah, but the coaching was letting them down.
Yeah,
and it wasn't just against the Chiefs. They were losing games that they should have been winning, like easy end-of-season games.
The Chargers always play better against the Chiefs than they did other teams.
But Andy Reid has been comfortably the best coach in this division.
Yeah.
And now he's still the best coach, but the gap has closed significantly. And I have to believe that something just... luck comes along and says, not this year.
He retired, mate.
Patrick Mahomes is now 28, by the way. When did that happen?
Like, I mean,
he's been around since
2017.
He's won 3 Super Bowls, beat
another. I know, but I was like, oh, right, like, yeah. And Carson Wentz is the backup. He's still in the NFL.
Yeah, that's his best chance to get another Super Bowl
He's
ring.
the youngest backup at the Chiefs since Patrick Mahomes in
Oh,
2017.
really?
Yeah, because they've had Chase Daniel and Blaine Gabbert
Of course, yes.
all the rest of the time. So,
Yeah.
I mean, how the guy's still got a job, I don't know, but apparently it's to do with knowing the West Coast offense that Reid runs because he played under Peterson, who was coached by Andy Reid. So he still has a job. I'm amazed.
He's probably winning.
But I did think, wouldn't it be entertaining if Patrick Mahomes gets him into the playoffs, then gets injured, and Carson Wentz wins the Super Bowl with the Chiefs? Because that is how life works, is it not? Imagine that.
But yeah, no. So I've got Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Raiders.
Yeah, you'll get no arguing.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. So that's our AFC preview. Should we have a quick mention because they had to cut the players yesterday? So some of the names of players cut yesterday.
There were a few surprising ones. Lael Collins.
Yeah, I was surprised by that as well.
Now he's not as quick as he used to be.
It's depth, isn't it?
But I can't believe he was cut and just put out there. Patriots, if you're listening, we need Lael Collins on the team.
Apparently, he struggled with run offense throughout the thing. But yeah,
Sterling Shepard.
Sterling Shepard. That didn't surprise me. I love Sterling Shepard, obviously, as a Giants fan. It's but the guy's come back from 2 ACL injuries.
Yeah.
He barely played last year, but it's a big name. And
Terrell Esmond and
that one's fine.
Desmond King.
Yeah,
Like 2 of the better defensive backs in the league, both cut. It's always to do with salary and juggling things around, but I don't know. It surprised me.
Frank Gore Jr.
Frank Gore Jr.
Re-signed to the Bills practice squad though, but he looked really good.
Did.
Samson Nakua
also looked really good.
Looked really good. Cut, and surely you'd be taking a gamble on that.
I mean, it just shows how pointless preseason games are to an extent, doesn't it? Because there are a number of players you could go through who have looked good in preseason games. And, he had a couple of good runs. He looked. Even Lewis Rees-Sammet, the former rugby player.
He'll be back though.
It's not a great shock that he was cut. It's his first season ever playing, but he had a couple of moments where it's like, I can see where he's going.
Yeah, I think as well. I believe that because he was placed with the Chiefs, wasn't he?
Yes.
Now they've released him. He will probably end up back with the Chiefs.
Well, they get an extra practice
Squad because of
spot for
but
him.
I think other teams are sniffing around, seeing if he's interested in there, because I think they do realise it's next year for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's it always seems really like almost too close to the start of the season for the cuts. Maybe, yeah.
I think we're gonna in the next 5 to 10 years not have any preseason games. And we'll see more regular season games.
Yeah. Oh god, I totally agree.
What's the situation with Brandon Ayuk and Trent Williams?
They're both holding out still, and the 49ers are being obstinate.
Should they be signing both of these players?
They should certainly be signing Trent Williams.
I would agree. That is the key one. I think you can get by without Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah,
I'm
you can.
not sure you should be trying to get by without
that one scares me more than Ayuk. I think they'll both end up playing this season. This is exactly what they did with Bosa.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So
They left. It was the week before the season starts. I think it was even days before the season started.
I did chuckle at the
As
idea.
long as Parag is buying plays for Leeds United this week.
Apparently, Trent Williams has looked up that Chris Jones, when he held out at the Chiefs, bought himself a box to watch the game, and basically watched them lose and said, "Yeah, I'm still here."
Yeah.
And Trent Williams is apparently prepared to do the same thing.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
I would not want to be Brock Purdy without Trent Williams.
Yeah. And as well, like Trent Williams' history, like he was fucked over in Washington. Everything else, like just pay the guy.
Yeah, I agree.
He's still the best player at his position in the league.
Exactly. Yeah, no, pay him.
Completely agree.
He's worth every penny. Would you like to know my fantasy team?
Oh, go on then.
No.
So, Jaden Daniels at quarterback, Derrick Henry, Devon A-Chain, Tyreek Hill, Deontay Johnson, Mark Andrews, Alvin Kamara in the flex. On the bench, I've got Justin Herbert, Javonte Williams, Brandon Cooks, Brian Thomas, Brock Bowers. My kicker is Young Ho Koo. And I have defense. I have 49ers and the Eagles because I like
a double defense.
I've gone double defense. Because sometimes it's just about matchups. Just about matchup, isn't it? And yeah.
I don't know. I'm terrible at that particular part of the game.
But yeah, I think both teams can get
decent team.
Can get some big sacks, which is good points. So yeah,
Deontay Johnson's the biggest question mark there for you.
My wide receivers aren't as good as I'd hoped, but Deontay Johnson, I think he might be between him and Brian Thomas.
He is at least the number one choice.
Yeah, and he's shown a good connection with Bryce Young, which is why I think Bryce Young might have a better season than we expected. Anyway,
one question before we go then. This year's Joe Flacco will be Ryan Tannehill when someone goes down injured and they need a quarterback.
Isn't it crazy, though, that no one's thought to pick him up yet, even just as a backup?
Is it just that he is saying, I'll wait?
Maybe.
Because apparently Joe Flacco was offered deals last year and just said, I'll sit out and wait.
Yeah, potentially.
That, for me, screams an obvious... Like, he will be someone's obvious solution at some point. So I just wanted to put that out there. It's more of a statement than a question, but I'm not saying he's brilliant, but he will be better than 3/4 of the backups in this league.
Colts.
Yeah, you know that's coming.
I mean, just getting back to the Titans, mate, because I think you're better than Levi's.
I agree.
But yeah. Anyway, thanks for joining this week. We'll be back next week. We'll do the NFC and our predictions for the season. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.